Hi everyone, my name's Anthony. Today I'm joining Mary Crystal, who was the inspiration behind this channel, Real Lives, after a recent tragic loss of her daughter. She was inspired to act in a way to offer people support for grief, for awareness, not just for illnesses such as HLH, but events that may affect them in any walk or area of their life. Hello, Mary.
All right.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. Good days and bad days.
So tell us, what was the inspiration behind you wanting to see a new channel?
Well, for me, I think more than anything, it's an opportunity to get people to actually talk about things that maybe they don't feel they're allowed to talk about. Either their family circle or their friends don't give them the confidence, probably without them realizing it, to actually express themselves. So, you know, I mean, it could be about anything really, except politics and religion and money and COVID. I'm not talking about none of that. But, you know, I mean, like with me, Lili she's my life. And even though she's not here, sitting next to me in person, she's here in my heart. And she's touched so many people in different ways. And the fact that she's still doing it, simply because you and I were talking about her, that people want to try and understand or become involved in whatever way that they can to help, which is what I'm trying to do. You know, it's to say I'm devastated is an understatement. There's no way to describe it. And believe me, if there was, I wouldn't want to.
For those watching who don't know exactly what happened to Lili, would you like to tell them?
My daughter died on the 13th of February this year. It's a very rare disease. In fact, it's rare enough. It's called HLH, which is a histiocytic disease. Histiocytic diseases are diseases of the blood. And there's quite a few diseases that fall under this umbrella. I could give you the big long names, I could give you the little names, but at the end of the day, if it hasn't affected you or somebody close to you, they're just meaningless letters. They mean nothing. And the illness that stole my daughter is called HLH, which is, here we go, because it just trips off the tongue, histiocytic, I can't even say it. Anyway, I can't say it. I can't even pronounce it.
If you search HLH, it does come up.
Well, it would hopefully, because if you try to find it in the way I'm trying to say it, the long word, you will never find anything.
No, but it is very rare. I think a total of 3 people have died from it in the last 10 years, roughly.
No, I don't know if the other 2 people who had it died. I I was told that Lili is the third case within the past 10 years, but I will amend that to say that Lili was the third diagnosed case within the last 10 years. And the way this disease just blindsides your whole body, it's unbelievable. There is, unless you've been genetically tested for a defective gene, if it's primary HLH, which means it's in your DNA, it's in your genes, right? There's no way of knowing. But with Lili's case, the doctors, because they had the experience of 2 prior HLH cases in Cyprus, they were able to diagnose her a lot faster, within 3 hours of being admitted to the Children's Hospital, than they would have been under any other circumstances, because there's nothing worse than a slow diagnosis for HLH. The faster the diagnosis, the faster the chances that you can be given life-saving, or at least life-sustaining medication until the root cause of the illness, you know, of the HLH is found. But despite running, I would hazard a guess of a minimum 20 to 30 different tests a day, Lili fell into the 5% of unknown origin. It wasn't genetic.
So
it wasn't caused by a bacteria. It wasn't caused by a virus.
So in Lili's case, it's something it's called, I think the term is idiopathic, where it's literally just spontaneous for no reason whatsoever, rather than hereditary.
Yeah.
I mean, illnesses such as, say, thalassemia are hereditary. They're not idiopathic. They don't just appear. They don't just appear out of nowhere. So this, where Lili was concerned, one day she was a healthy young girl, a week away or 2 away from her 14th birthday, and the next minute she was on life support.
Yeah, literally, and it just happened so fast. I mean, not that I could ever forget it, but when I think back on it, the first, especially the first 72 hours from her being admitted to her being on life support and in a coma, I call that my goldfish time, because the amount of information that I was being given all at one go, I just couldn't. To this day, I can't tell you the names of most of the doctors on Lili's team. I can't. I mean, at the end of the day, I just called them doctor, because I didn't know if they were called Dr. Anthony or Dr. Mary or Dr. I had no clue. I just went doctor. And the team, Lili's medical team, I mean, I have to say, I could not do their job. Not for 1 second. Nor the doctors, nor the nurses. I just couldn't. I mean, for me, I flatly refused, and some people may think I was wrong, I flatly refused to do any research into HLH when Lili was diagnosed. Because if anybody ever looks it up, hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, HLH. It's got every single letter of the alphabet in it 10 times.
What's interesting is you're saying you couldn't do what the doctors did, but then from the outside looking in, from day one when this nightmare began, Knowing you, you've actually surprised me how strong and how brave you've been. To the point initially, I was actually thinking to myself, has it actually sunk in what has happened? Because all you've cared about is literally is how you can raise awareness about this and other rare diseases for Lili. Has that helped you by doing that?
I think it's helped me in my personal grieving process. Because when after Lili passed, that's when I decided I needed to know more about this disease. Not because I thought for one second that the doctors had done anything wrong, or I was looking to blame anybody or anything like that. No, I just wanted to understand as well as I could. I mean, I'm not stupid by any means, but it's one thing having general know-how and knowledge, and it's another thing having an entire medical encyclopedia running around in your head. It's just impossible, you know, and that's why I needed to be able to focus on what this vile disease is, because for me that would be an acceptable way to cope with Lili's loss. And to be perfectly honest, I don't like using the word lost. It seems like I've misplaced her. I haven't misplaced Lili. She is an inspiration because she's such a determined character, and I cannot, in all honesty, let helping other people go by the wayside because of how HLH affected me. It's exactly for that reason that I have the determination to help, to want to make HLH become a better understood disease, because I would not want anybody, if God forbid they're ever in my position, to be walking around in a permanent goldfish state because they cannot understand what they're being told. You know, if they can even have this much of an idea of what they're facing, then maybe it will help them. I mean, I have to say that the doctors were absolutely brilliant. They really were. I told them from the outset, you know, right? I don't do bullshit. I want you to tell me very clearly what is going on, what I need to know, how I can help Lili. Okay, and when people inevitably ask me what's happening, then I can give them an intelligent reply. So, and that's what I want to do. And this is what I want to be able to do for everybody else. I cannot understand medical reports and scientific evaluations. As HLH was explained to me, the disease is like Pac-Man, and your infection, the infections and whatever it's doing inside your body are like the little dots in Pac-Man, and the HLH is Pac-Man going crazy and it's eating everything. Perfect. I could get it in my head then. But if you tell me that HLH is a disease where it kills all the white blood cells go into overdrive, and then it's got cytokines, and it's got, it just like, what does that even mean? It means nothing. So, and this is what I'm trying to achieve, make a horrific disease more understandable. I know for a fact that my family and my friends and my extended family and people who know me, in January of 2021, not one single one of them had even heard of HLH, neither had I. And now, right, we've managed, with everybody's help, just going on looking at the web page that we've created for HLH, over 6,000 people now have an idea about what this disease is. 6,000 people. And it's not because of me, it's because of Lili. Because if Lili had not been taken away by this illness, I wouldn't be trying to find people out, you know, let people know about it. Might sound cruel, but I'll be perfectly honest. I say, oh yeah, what a shame. Okay. How can I help? How much do you need? Or can I do this? Fine. And then that's where it stops. But I say with my hand on my heart, and I mean every single word, every single person who has been with Lili and me from the beginning with this are still here with us now. And that is Lili's legacy. I can't say more than that, to be honest. So,
And now,
it's difficult. What
would you like to see from this channel going forward?
What would I like to see? Well, first of all, I'd like to see people opening up and asking. I mean, this channel is not just about HLH. This channel, what I'd love to see from this channel is the opportunity to talk with all kinds of people in all kinds of situations, you know, that affect them on their daily lives. You know, have they got enough money to feed their kids? Have they got a proper roof over their head? You know, is there something that's bothering them and they can't speak about it because they're too embarrassed or they don't know how? Do they have a support network? And if they don't, I'll happily look up support networks for them and say, right, you can look at this and you can look at that. I'm not a counsellor. I'm not a doctor. So if anybody wants to talk to me about things, then I'd have to say, in all honesty, sorry, I can't personally help you, but I'll do what I can to find you the relevant information, you know, or the people that you should talk to, or you could talk to, that will be able to help you, or at least point in the direction of the people you need to speak to. So yeah, maybe I sound selfish.
No, actually, we covered this topic earlier when we were just talking about people opening up, and I had experience of this when I made videos a few years ago, and after an outpouring of grief, people are in unknown territory, because most people literally lock up how they feel and keep it locked away. But when it's locked away, they haven't recovered. It's a heavy burden on them that affects them every day of their lives. But when people do open up and talk about it, then you do actually open up Pandora's box, and then they're in unfamiliar territory. And I had that with one person who was suddenly going off the rails because they were in this unfamiliar territory. And the way that I sort of defined it is that I see it now is that if you help somebody to take their mask off, because we wear masks to hide our grief or our suffering, then you then have an obligation to hold their hand when they look in the mirror. You can't just help them to take their mask off and leave them to it. And that's why what you're trying to do is good, because it is not just to help people to open up and discuss how they feel, be it on video, be it in a message, be it in a comment, whichever way. The important part is to actually help them and guide them to seek the right support afterwards. And most importantly, for people to not feel that there is a stigma with needing support afterwards, because there are many people out there suffering in silence that cannot discuss how they feel, and they feel almost ashamed to seek help because they think that there's something wrong with them. Well, it's everybody. There are millions of people individually, quietly thinking that they're on their own when they're not. That's why it may be difficult to actually have people join you live to talk about their feelings, but that's fine. Just you discussing different issues with different people and answering questions that you may receive publicly or privately can help, maybe just help strike a chord with people who are suffering in silence, so that they actually start the road to healing. But from where they are to where they need to be, they will go through a period of emotional trauma, because they will have no choice but to open Pandora's box first. And that's what's important to get across to people, that they mustn't fear doing so, but they must not shy away from asking for help, because most people do need support to get through it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, nobody has all the answers. I know for myself that there's no right way or wrong way to grieve. You know, as we spoke about earlier, I think grief is a very cultural thing, and it's also an age-related thing. It might sound really cruel, but the age of the person who is no longer with you is irrelevant. Okay? Feeling grief because you've lost, again, that word that I don't like, because your loved one, whether it's your child, whether it's your parent or your grandparent, could even be your pet, your job, a friendship, a relationship, you know, you could have lost your grandmother's ring. It could be anything. But those feelings that most of the time we are told, oh, but shouldn't you be over it now? There's no expiration date to when you as an individual feel that you can start to not feel guilty about your life going on. And I think that's a lot of as well of the things that hold people back from expressing themselves, because it's been 4 months since Lily died. I have not spent 4 months crying my eyes out. Right? Because for me personally, if I was to do that, I would be dishonoring Lily, because Lily is not a miserable person. She's never been a person who wallows in self-pity or misery. And if I were to do that on behalf of Lili, to me, I would be massively disrespecting who she is. That's my personal view. So, yeah, I laugh at the stupid things in life. 99% of the time when I laugh is because I'm laughing either about pictures or stories or memories of Lili. Lili is not defined by the 1st of February until the 13th of February. Okay? I, as her mother and as a person, am not defined by those 13 days. Right? Lili is an entire person. She's not 13 days. Lili was 14 years old. So those 13 days now they are Lili. And the 14 years that she was here with me, with everybody, those suddenly just erased. Doesn't work that way.
No.
You know? Yes, I cry when I think about Lili. Yes, I cry when I talk about her. It hurts. But at the same time, when I see, if she saw me now crying, it wouldn't make her feel good. If I saw my child crying, would I feel good? Would anybody? So what is my purpose? To make my child feel bad? No, I want my child to feel good. Just as my parents, want me to feel good. Just as you as a friend, my friends, and they try, and again, this is part of grieving. Because, yeah, you're grieving, everybody's grieving in their own way. Do you honestly think it would do me any good if we all sat down here all together in a big circle and bawled our eyes out? What good would that possibly do? It wouldn't. It would just make things worse. So the more you can actually focus, I think, on the big picture, which is Lili was here with me for 14 brilliant years. And even though she's not physically here with me now, she's always going to be with me. I will not allow myself to just erase 14 years of Lili.
Absolutely.
And I won't allow anybody else to do it either.
Well,
No.
I'm sure everyone will agree that not only you're brave, but you are inspiring others, and hopefully through this channel you will inspire other people not to suffer quietly in silence, alone.
Well, anybody who knows me knows that one thing that I never do is anything quiet. I've got the biggest mouth. I've got the loudest laugh. So, if me sitting here crying or me sitting here talking is a key to unlock something in somebody, and they say, okay, I want to be able to talk to somebody. Because like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counsellor, and talking to me probably wouldn't give them the results they need. Because I cannot understand anybody else's point of view, because I am not anybody else. I'm me. I can empathize, but I wouldn't dare to advise somebody on how they should grieve.
So going forward, anybody who watches this video or the videos that you're going to make in future with others, our friend the therapist will be joining you in future videos, hopefully. How should they get in touch with you? Through the channel? And
through the channel, we've got a web page, which is, we'll write it down because it's a bit of a long name. It's lilikyriacouhlhawareness awareness page, .wordpress.com. We've also got a Facebook page, so it's facebook.com/lilikyriacouhlhawh. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got an Instagram page. All of the details for those, we'll write them down. So yeah, I mean, anybody who gets in touch with me, all right, they can talk to me in complete confidence through our Instagram messaging and also our Facebook page messenger. So they will never have to worry that they would anything they say would become public property, because that's not how we do business.
okay.
If on the other hand they want to write on a public, on, you know, for the public to see, then they can quite easily, and I'm quite happy for them to do it. Again, on our Instagram or on our web page. But yeah, obviously we would like the rules to be respected. Everybody must be spoken to with respect, and if you can't say anything nice, either say nothing at all or remove yourself from the page or the channel.
Okay, well, I am sure that not just in this video, but in the videos that are to come, that you will inspire people to speak up and help them. And I do think that your bravery has not and will not go unnoticed.
It's not me, it's Lily. I've got a voice in my ear constantly. It's either that or, you know, I've really lost the plot, but I hear her say, "Come on, Mum, stop messing around. We've got stuff to do." You know, and she's rolling her eyes saying, "Oh, for God's sake, stop talking. You said enough. Stop talking."
And on that note, we will end this very, very short 2-minute introduction. Well done. As you have probably already gathered, what forthcoming videos will be completely unpredictable.
That's what keeps it sweet, isn't it?
Okay. Bye, everyone. See you in the next videos.
Bye. Thanks for watching.